So I play Patrick, which is Louisa's boyfriend, and Patrick's kind of a bit self-absorbed. He's kind of obsessed with his own fitness and his own regimes, and he's got this big triathlon coming on which he's been training for, and he kind of is blissfully unaware of Louisa really, and what she needs and what her hopes and dreams are. And so when Will comes along into her life, he's very much unprepared for it. And you know, I don't want to say that he's a horrible person, because he's really not. He's just a victim of his own upbringing. You know, he's very kind of insular, whereas Will is, you know, he's very extrovert and imagines about the world and what's around, whereas Patrick's very content in what he's got. And I think that him and Louisa end up not being quite right for each other.
And Will, in some senses, has already achieved what Patrick is trying to achieve.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because Will obviously is that entrepreneur who has gone and made a lot of money and worked the stock market and whatnot. And Patrick is that, but very small time. And he's quite happy keeping it that way, whereas Louisa, she's got the potential to be bigger than that and to go places and see things, and Will kind of opens up that potential within her. I got sent a script. I read the book first, and then I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was, you know what, it wasn't just the idea of the character, it was the whole story. It was, I know a lot of people from, you know, I'm from a small town in the north, and I know a lot of people who have sort of had these relationships since they were very young, and they're very comfortable and they're very settled, and they're just so unaware of what could be, what is out there for them. And it just takes someone to come along and open your eyes. And that was Louisa's side of it. And then there's Will's story, which is, you know, so powerful and so topical at the minute. You know, the idea of, without wanting to give anything away, you know, about the right to choose with people. And it's so important. It's such an interesting topic for discussion, that if this film gets people talking, you know, it's not trying to say yes or no, you know, right or wrong. It's just trying to get that conversation out into the mainstream and get people talking. And from both those angles, I just thought it was a really powerful story. I didn't sit down and go, is this something that I want to be a part of? Because when I read the book and the script, it moved me so much. And it made me think about things that I've never thought of before, and it made me approach the subject in a way I'd not thought of before. And I thought, if that's done that for me reading this book, like, and if we can make a movie and maybe make a couple of other people start to think, oh, maybe it's not as straightforward as we think it is, maybe there's a bit more to it, and just get people talking, like, that's a real, I mean, as an actor, to be able to think that a project that you've done has in some way helped someone look at something that's a little bit different, and help them maybe change their opinions or whatever, or reinforce their opinions, whatever. Then that's amazing. Like, to think that we have an impact on people, and so that was, yeah, it was important. I think there's, I'm a big believer in love, and love is all you need, in the whole John Lennon-esque. But it's the idea that you shouldn't sacrifice your own happiness, you know, for a lot of things. Like the idea that Louisa thinks, oh, I'm comfortable, I don't want to upset Patrick, I don't want to do this, that, and the other, or that fear. You've got a fear to branch out. You know. You should always take those gambles, take those leaps, because you never know what's going to unfold. You never know what possibilities, what potential you have in life. And there's something about this film, about this story, that just says to me, give it a go, take that leap, you know? They gave me a trainer who I was actually with this morning. He's called Tim Blakely, and he's my bloody hero. And he basically just flogged me for several months for this film. I wanted to know, part and parcel, kind of what it would be like to be obsessed with your body fat and with a goal like that. And so Patrick's goal was obviously the triathlon in Norway, whereas I set myself the goal of like rap day. So we rapped on like June the 2nd last year, and I was like, okay, that's the day I can drink alcohol again. That's the day I can eat carbohydrates again. I can have pizza and all this kind of stuff. And so I had that goal in mind, and it just helped me get that kind of drive. And then also just physically, just the idea that I wanted to make sure, whenever you're making a film that's based on a book that people love, there's such a, I mean, I'm a huge book reader, and people get so involved and invested in stories and characters that you have a responsibility to make sure it's as accurate as possible. And I knew that I'd be the same with this, and I wanted to make sure that Patrick was the Patrick that people imagined. And the only way to do that would be to get in the kind of shape that Patrick would have been in. So yeah, I went and just did a lot of gym time, ate as lean as possibly I could, and I was going for checkups at the doctors to see what my body fat ratio was, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it was interesting. It was just, I mean, when I finished, I went and drank a lot of beer and ate a lot of pizza. But for the 3 months I was on the shoot, yeah, it was good. And Sam was training as well. So we were both sort of in the gym together, which was good fun. He worked a lot harder than I did. I hate admitting this, but yeah, no, it really did. Yeah, the book made me cry, and then I read the script, and the script made me cry again, even though I knew, what was happening. And as far as I was concerned, JoJo's helped write the screenplay, and it's been her baby, and so she's made it as close to the book as it really could have been. And they both made me cry. And actually, I went to a screening. I saw it a while ago, and I took my brother. And my brother's a few years older than me. This big sort of gruff northerner, and he cried his eyes out. So yeah, it's one of those. I was always a geeky little fanboy as a kid, and I kind of still am a little bit. And so every time I do a new job, to work with these people, it's fantastic. You meet them and you think as a fan, and you go, this is great, oh, this is cool, I'm meeting Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones, this is wicked. But then you start to work with them on a professional level, and suddenly you go, wow, I'm working with Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin, who have done, and Charles Dance, who've done these amazing projects and are talented actors. And yeah, I absolutely do. Every day, you come on and you look at the people you're working with and the caliber of people, and you have to pinch yourself and go, are they still letting me do this? Am I still doing a living here? It's, yeah, I really do get a bit starstruck.